Now joining us for the news review, we have Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. He's a political scientist, also the head of the Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana. Then Dr. Jabir Mohammed, senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School. And finally, Dr. Clement Abedu, executive director, African Center for Environment and Sustainability. It's a day of PhDs, isn't it? Well, gentlemen, welcome aboard the show. I'm glad that I could put a smile on your face, Dr. Mohammed. I see you smiling. Good morning to you, gentlemen. Hope you're well.
Good morning to you, Ben, Sweetie, and my colleagues, as well as the general public.
All right, so my classmate, Dr. Mohammed, good morning. My former tutor, Dr. Asah-Asante. And Dr. Abedu, I've not heard from you. Let's at least check out your mic and show it's working.
Yeah, very well. I can hear you. And good morning to my colleagues. Good morning to you. Good morning to your viewers.
All right.
I think it's a
just speak up when you do interact with us, Dr. Abedu. Sweetie?
Yes, we want to hear your thoughts for us this morning before we get into the newspapers. And Ben, I'll start with your classmates then. Dr. Mohammed, you have the first say. Dr. Mohammed, if you can unmute and share your thoughts with us this morning.
Yeah, good morning to you and good morning to all our listeners. This month is a financial literacy month. And I think that one of the news items that you put out there is about how people can spend and manage their money. It is prudent that as a financial literacy month, you consistently manage your finances because that is very important in how you can overcome financial freedom. So I do hope and believe that Ghanaians will take this month, both businesses and individuals will take this month as a very important month and work towards managing their finances prudently so that they can move out of financial difficulties.
Thank you so much. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, you're next.
Yes, I think I'll wade into the conversation on the cocaine and the rest of it. I am following with keen interest because I do not want my country to be the hub of cocaine in this country. And that is why people like you and I, we are very much interested in waiting patiently for this story to get to its logical conclusion. My observation is that, yes, my student, Dr. Tim Fojo, who has alleged all these things, we have not heard much in terms of what evidence. I will urge him that we are all interested. So he should get to the bottom of this matter by providing the relevant information that the security people need to be able to do this work satisfactorily. People have said that up to date, the security organization have not spoken. I don't hold brief for them. But even if they have not done that, it is incumbent upon you and I, and for that matter, in Team Fojo, to be able to provide information that he can get even strong backing of the public. That yes, you did not invite me. But because this issue is an issue of concern to everybody, I am walking to your office with the ocular proof, the right information, that get it and work with it. And that if you don't, then he can go to town after that. I'm looking forward to Reverend Intim Fojo to do that so that the security people, I know, once they have something like that, they will also not sleep, they will work on it. And at the end of the day, will come out with the truth.
Thank you so much. So from finance to narcotics, Dr. Abedu, what do you have for us?
Yes, good morning once again. I want to touch on quite a sensitive issue. I want us to look at the Sustainable Development Goals. I think last night I was just reflecting on how in 2015 these goals came about, and some of the important issues which informed the creation or the establishment of these goals. And I just ran through the years. This is the 10th year since the goals were enacted from 2015 to 2025. And interestingly, we only have 5 years to end the goals to assess ourselves whether we were really able to achieve or to some extent get closer to these goals. Interestingly, we've done 2/3 of the 15 years that we had from 2015 to 2030. Now, I ask myself, have we been able to achieve the 2/3 of these goals so far? We are talking about no poverty in the year 2030. We are talking about zero hunger. We are looking at good health and well-being for Ghanaians, quality education. We are talking about gender equality, clean water and sanitation, energy, decent housing, and so on and so forth. But I look at Ghana currently, I look at the people, I look at, what is happening in this country, then you seem to ask yourself, are we really closer to these goals? And what are the challenges? Because really, government listen to us, politicians listen to us, those who matter, policymakers listen to us. There are lots of Ghanaians who are struggling to feed themselves even once a day. There are lots of Ghanaians who are struggling to access quality education. There are lots of Ghanaians who are struggling to access good health care. And talking about the urban areas, accommodation, housing, access to decent housing. These are very critical issues that are not just about rhetorics, that are not just about narratives, but they are issues happening, or they are problems that the people are confronting, are being confronted every day. And so it's important that as a country, we take a stock of what we've done so far over the past 10 years and look at how possibly we can fast track our efforts towards ensuring that these goals, which we all agreed to pursue, are achieved or realized, at least in a more realistic sense, coming the 5 years that we have ahead of us.
Right. Well, thank you so much. I have 4 newspapers, actually. So I'll do 3 stories from the first one, then I'll come to you, gentlemen, for your reflections. Starting with the Custodian newspaper. On the front page, we don't use land guards in our operations. That is Zoom Lion is saying that. And minority seeks diplomatic assistance in Gran Canaria flight scandal. Culture of silence and brute force under Mahama. 3 journalists arrested in 3 months. Many houses raided. And I want to start from there. And the dreaded culture, it's an editorial, but some of the things that they say in here makes me want to put this question to Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, whether indeed press freedom is under attack. The story talks about Asarbedi Ako's arrest, a journalist who was arrested on Wednesday, April 2nd, following an invitation from the OSP. They talk about Afrifa Mensah's arrest, Okatechie Afrifa Mensah, who was also arrested twice, actually, by national security. And according to eyewitness accounts, he was picked up near Kingsby Hotel in Achimota. Then we have Agbenyega, who is the editor of Current Issues newspaper. He was also invited by the national security following a report that he published involving movement of Electricity Company of Ghana containers at the Tema port. So the editorial is talking about these arrests and the many, many houses that have been raided in just these 3 months under this new administration. And it's also kind of saying that there's a culture of silence back and brute force under Mahama. Do you agree, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante?
I disagree. I disagree in the sense that if you're talking about the culture of silence, that is not what we are witnessing. I live under that era. I saw, I read, and I experienced. But that is not to say that even if one breach of the law is bad enough to dent the image of the government. So we will urge the government that there are procedures. If somebody has written something and you are not comfortable with, there's a procedure through a rejoinder, through media commission, and then you can go to court and seek redress. But if you want to use the state apparatus to intimidate and then to, as it were, put the fear of God in those journalists, then it becomes an aberration. And that one, for a government which is led by a journalist, that the president, I don't want to see and I don't want to know things of this nature. But that said, we should also bear in mind that we are also law-abiding people and that whatever we do must resonate with the law. So if we do anything to the contrary, the security agents have the right to invite you to come and ask questions. That should not be misconstrued as what harassment or intimidation and all that, except of course there are breaches of the rules of engagement. If that one comes in, then it's a different story. My advice to the government is that the tag of era of what culture of silence and all that, we know too well in this country that we don't want a repeat of this, and it is the interest of the government to not do anything to attract such a tag. For security people going to search people's home and all that.
Right.
They are all part of the security operations, which are regulated by law. So that one, you cannot fault the security people, unless, of course, the rules of engagement are undermined. And that one, the individual has the right to challenge it in the law courts. So let us remember that all these things are tax and all that. We should do well to protect our state from these shackles and tentacles of, bad governance that sometimes come to rear their ugly hairs in administration of political office holders. But I believe and I know that this government will not chart that path, because there is a lot in the literature, a lot in terms of experience that they have experienced that they don't want to chart that path.
Right.
It's my hope and prayer that we stay off any course and we will not be tempted by the devil to be on this path.
Thank you, Doc. And I did say that I'll do the 3 stories before I come to you, gentlemen. But forgive me, let me just add 2 more stories and then I'll come to you, Dr. Jibril and Dr. Abeju. So no government contracts without Ministry of Finance approval, according to Atuforsen. And the Minister for Finance, Dr. Kasiel Atuforsen, has announced a firm directive that no government contract shall be approved without prior commencement authorization from the Ministry of Finance, effective 3rd April 2025, which means it's already in motion. And the last story I want to add is National Security uncovers alleged ECG cables. The Western Regional Office of the National Security has uncovered a large cache of suspected stolen electrical materials in Kansurodu, a suburb of Sekondi Takrade in Metropolis. And the operation, which was based on intelligence, led to the discovery of the items hidden in a concealed location and within an uncompleted building believed to be linked to the Electricity Company of Ghana. Dr. Mohammed, these 3 stories for your reflections.
Well, let me start with the Finance Ministry. I think that it's a step in the right direction because we need to be prudent with our finances. This country has come a long way. And one of the difficult things, or one of the things that we are currently facing is about people, overpricing of items and, stealing of government money through all kinds of means. I think that a better scrutiny of all public finances, especially procurement issues, is very, very important. If we are able to do so, we are going to go a long way to be able to minimize the rate at which people can bloat prices. Let us not only limit contracts to sole sourcing. It has to go through competitive bidding. If you are able to do so, we'll be able to cut down a lot of prices.
Right.
And I think that we need to work very hard to form a lot of companies within the country, especially having conglomerate within a particular industrial zone. And that can help to curb most of the problems that we are facing. Sometimes we don't even have the expertise in Ghana. We have to resort to people coming from outside. And most of them, the Ghanaians partner with a lot of companies from outside to take the contract. The money is done and the money is taken away. Let's work very hard to have our own within the country so that we can serve the interests of Ghanaians.
Right.
Another important thing is about how homes are raided. Recently, I heard that the Vice President Edikam home was raided, etc. And people continue to wonder why some of these things happen. It's becoming a normal, it's becoming a cliche among most, like new government, whoever takes over. But I believe that when you are raiding a home, you should raid the home with a critical interest. What are you aiming to get? If you raid the home and at the end of the day, you don't come out with any tangible out of it, then you are just doing a gymnastics. I believe that they need to have clear evidence so that when they raid such homes, they are able to come up with something concrete to inform Ghanaians that this is why we have raided the home. And this is what we have been able to uncover in raiding such a home. Raiding homes, I don't think is anything so bad, but it has to be done and done within the remits of the law. The law is very important.
Doc, when you say raiding homes is not bad, using the word raiding means that you're practically invading someone's privacy without proper authorization.
You are invading the person's privacy in an organized manner. That's how come I
Perhaps a search
so
with a search warrant, that would not be a problem, but raid?
Yes, with a search warrant. I mean, in Ghana, people use all kinds of words. They will say raid.
Okay.
It could mean that maybe they are raiding with what do you call it, a permission. But the moment the person has gone there, the journalist will report that the person has raided the home. Whether it is, they don't even dig into details to see whether the person is going with a search warrant or not. I believe that the agency will not just get up and go there when they don't have the permission to do so. So if they don't have, by this time, most of the people they've raided their homes, they will have taken them to court and they will have been in trouble. So I do believe that they have a permit. So we should find an appropriate ways to be able to express it. So I'm just concluding on that point by saying that we need a proper information to be able to go to such home for a search so that you can tell Ghanaians that this is what I have gotten out of it. Now, on the issue of the ECG matter, it's becoming a very serious matter. I mean, 2,000 plus containers, and you go there and you're only seeing 1,000 plus containers. What kind of irresponsible behavior are we portraying as Ghanaians? Why is it that if we don't need those items and we go and borrow money, buy them and come, just look at the debts ECG is owing. ECG is owing about 80 billion Ghana cedis, which is equivalent to about $2.2 billion. And we are even struggling to find money to pay that. And items that are meant to extend electricity so that we can get the funding to come and offset the debts that ECG is owing. We are again stealing those items. So the honest people, we are not just honest as Ghanaians. A lot of us go to the mosques, we go to the churches. When it is Friday, when it is Sunday, it is full up. Yet we are the very thieves and irresponsible people that we can have. One of the philosophers says that the people will only be free if they obey the laws they themselves have made, because everywhere we walk, we are in chains. It is only the laws that are going to be able to tell us that we have to do the right thing. Most of the advanced countries are not at where they are.
Right.
They are where they are because they have proper laws in place and people obey the laws. That is how come that they are developing.
Thank you so much.
So we have to the laws so that we can also develop. Okay,
let me throw the baton to Dr. Abaidu now. Dr. Abaidu, your reflections.
Very well. I'll start from the ECG issue. I think that we have relaxed for far too long when it comes to taking punitive measures, actions against corporates or suspects especially when it comes to our state institutions. Every time now and then, we seem to blame our political leaders for all the wrongdoings in the country. But then when it comes to the very technocrats, the very people who are always in charge, running our day-to-day affairs of the institutions, we seem to be very quiet and silent on them. I mean, ECG has been in the bad news for the past few weeks. Well, I mean, generally the power sector, talking about what happened at the Tema Port, and now what we are also hearing from Takrat, the Western region. I mean, these are issues that go a long way to affect energy access, that affect people being able to access electricity. There are a lot of communities still in Ghana who are struggling or who are not connected to the national grid. They are living in darkness. They are relying on all forms of unsustainable forms of energy to access light or to access energy. And so if you have these materials, these important resources, which could go a long way to affect the lives of the ordinary people in the rural communities who are still struggling to access energy, to access electricity, for whatever reason, what is being used for, or where those materials are and what use. I mean, it's unfortunate,
right.
And it's important that our state institutions, when it comes to doing the rightful investigations, ensuring that corporates are not just sanctioned, but they are well sanctioned and serves as deterrent for others not to perpetuate some of these acts. I think it's high time we looked at all these issues, because our state institutions are not helping us. I mean, they are really they are really disturbing the ordinary people, and we always look at them, people flaunting wealth all over the place. You find some ordinary person in the state institution, I mean, a lower rank or normal rank, and the person is amassing so much wealth. And these are the avenues which result into, I mean, these are some of the sources for which people are able to maneuver their way through to get all this wealth that we see them flaunting around. So it's important that we take a critical look at our institutions. I have said it, and I want to say this again. President John Dramani Mahama has indicated that he wants to reset his economy. Yes. We need to reset our state institutions. We need to reset our public sector, because so much rot is going on, so much corruption, so much inefficiency, so much mismanagement. And it's important we look at that sector very carefully.
Right. And just because we are discussing ECG, I just want to remind our audience that we have a national dialogue tomorrow at 6 p.m. and we are hoping to discuss the issues and find practical solutions going forward. There's actually a promo that I want you to take a look at, and then we continue the conversation.
Decade, Ghana's power supply has faced a relentless struggle. At the center of it all, the electricity company of Ghana. Crippled by debt, weighed down by mismanagement, tugged at and twisted by politics. And the question keeps echoing across the nation. Can ECG be saved? This Thursday at 6 p.m., Ghana's energy leaders gather for a major turning point, a national dialogue on the future of ECG. It's live on Joy News, Joy 99.7 FM, and myjoyonline.com. We will seek honest answers, practical solutions, and a clear path forward. What to do with ECG? It's time to talk. It's time to act. Be a part of the conversation.
Indeed, you don't want to miss this conversation because it concerns all of us. Dr. Abeidu, you can continue now.
Very well, thank you. And I think, the timing couldn't have been right, especially with this news coming up. I want to also dive into the issue of the Finance Ministry requesting for approval.
You have to do this in a minute for us. Yeah.
Very well, very well. I think that really our entire procurement system in the country ought to be looked at once again. I am for anything good as far as research is concerned. The issue here is that to what extent are we going to realize that indeed due diligence is followed as far as these contract approval processes are concerned? What interest will then the finance minister or the ministry have in terms of which procurement will be permitted and which one will not be permitted? What processes are we going to go through to ensure that all the challenges that we have with procurement in this country, talking about sole sourcing, talking about the corruption, and all the issues that come with procurement and its processes, to what extent is this policy going to curb or curtail these challenges? And so we need to have that confidence that even within the political space, to what extent are we not going to play politics with the issues? Which institutions will get its way when it comes to I want approval, and which institution will struggle depending on what preferences or what interest even those who are going to approve these processes or these contracts are concerned. And so we need to do this with a very good intention, very good heart, and not to just once again push making processes to the higher political authorities, right, which will end up also creating the problems for us. Okay. And so that's the latest in that regard.
Thank you. Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, on ECG and the Ministry of Finance directive, a minute for your reflections and then other stories.
Yeah, I'll zoom straight away onto ECG and the happenings in there. Nobody is comfortable with this, especially if you look at the fact that this is a very important service and it's been bastardized in such a fashion. Look at debts that they are wallowing in. It is a sorry story. Tied to it is mismanagement that you see in various aspects, including what we are witnessing now, missing containers, and even 40 meters over the years. It has been an albatross around their necks that you see all manner of meters which are not working, create all manner of problems, and then their inability to even collect, revenue. And sometimes you ask yourself, are they really existing? So I believe that we need some cleanup in that area to bring its lost glory back, and then bring hope to the people who patronize this service, because it is the sine qua non. Without electricity, you and I cannot survive. Okay. That said, I believe that all there is that we need to do, we must focus our attention on to get the results as soon as possible.
Okay, so this is an invitation to all of you. Please join us on Thursday for that conversation. Benjamin.
Yeah, your program is a very big one.
Yeah.
And I will join from wherever I find myself, provided I'm not teaching. I'll join.
Thank you.
Before I get into my first paper, gentlemen, I just want to situate some of the conversations we've had. I read the story growing up about the boy who cried wolf, and he would often do that. And the day the wolf actually came, because he was a shepherd, no one was there because they were used to hearing him cry wolf. And it was, a joke then. But I say it in respect of two stories. The clamping down on journalists, so to speak, and then the cocaine bust. I think for the sake of our viewers and for all of us, we ought to clarify. So some of the names that have been mentioned, Okatechie, for example, a free fermenter, whom I know personally, and let me state this clearly, any attack on any media person is an attack on all media people. However, when these stories come up, we should ask ourselves, why have these people been invited or arrested? Is it because the state has issues with them? In the past, media stations were, raided, so to speak, among others. A few of them I know about. Okatechie, for example, the story out there is, and he says, the cyber unit picked him up on allegations of sextortion. Allegations of sextortion. And that his chat with a certain lady had been edited. Sextortion, by the way, is a crime. So if he is invited, is that the state clamping down on journalists? On the issue of Agbenyega, what I have seen is that he was invited by Ghana's national security to clarify how he obtained and published classified documents allegedly linked to the ECG. According to the information, Richard Jakpa, who has become famous now, Director of Operations at the National Security Secretariat, also was, involved. And the leaked document is said to contain sensitive information related to procurement irregularities. Just as with the CIA or the FBI or any other entity, it's not everything you can just put out. I don't know what the details are, but the simple point is, if you put something out and you have to come and explain how you got that information, or maybe point to certain things to assist in investigations, these are the reasons for which these people were invited. And let me just add, the print pack, which is the Private Newspapers and Online News Publishers Association of Ghana, confirmed that Mr. Agbenyega had returned from the engagement in good health and had not been arrested or charged. It adds, the engagement was cordial and professional, and that's according to the Print Pack Secretariat. So as media people, remember what happened to Lateef Idris, which we are still fighting in court, what happened to Caleb Kuda, Zoe Abu-Beidu, and all of those. But at the same time, these conversations must be situated in the proper context. There are individual issues these people dealt with. It's not as though that culture of silence, so to speak. Is that how you would describe it? I don't know. Then on the issue of the cocaine bust, it's pretty curious, isn't it? Because I have seen that statement by the former Lands Minister, Honorable Jenapo, and he talks about the Minority Caucus and their position, and now the petitions they have sent out. But there are a number of things they call for, calling on the diplomatic community to intervene, sharing with the Ghanaian security authorities any intelligence, facilitating the deployment. It goes on and on. My simple question is, while it is important we do all of this, so far we're yet to get any concrete information that suggests that there were indeed any form of contraband on these flights. In fact, he says that to facilitate it, investigations, interactions How about Reverend Ntim Fojo? I mean, he will be the first person to want to give information, right? As of now, is he giving that information? So can they start from home? And the final bit I'll add, just this morning, and of course it's been online for a bit, but I saw this statement from the Ghana Airport Company Limited, which was saying that, of course, it had not leaked because some people have alleged that they leaked information to Ntim Fojo. But if you look at their statement, which is actually, is there a date on it? Let me see. So 8th of April 2025, right? Yesterday. And they say, I don't want to bore you with the details, you can check it out. But they say landing permits of all aircraft entering Ghana are issued by the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. It goes on and on. Point 3 is crucial. There was no evidence of any illegal substances on board both aircraft. So I think we must situate the conversations, because if there's something like that, we definitely have to get to the bottom of it. But if there is not, and there are spurious claims made, we must expose that as well. I think so. I don't know whether you have any responses, gentlemen. If not, I'll go into the Daily Graphic newspaper. Anything? Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, Dr. Abeid.
Oh, something brief.
Dr.
I'll
Mohammed.
still add something to the culture of silence. If you have lived in the era of culture of silence, when you criticize, you are arrested, brutalized, and the next day you can find, people will find your body out there littering with bullets and all that. In fact, newspapers could not publish. At a point in time, they had to turn publication into Lotto. Read Professor Kwesi Yanka's work on these things. They were publishing Lotto. But today, look at, vociferous criticisms that people come out with. People scathing attacks. And we go home and sleep with our two eyes closed. It doesn't mean we are in the state of nature. All journalism and every speech is guided by rules of engagement. And that when you cross the line, people will take you on. And that we should bear in mind. We are not an island. As journalists, we work within the framework of the law. But we will forever protect any journalist who has been wronged by the state. That
Definitely.
will stand by you. But if you cross the line, you are on your own.
Right.
Anyway, let me get into other stories on these beats. So the Daily Graphic, opioids abuse destroying nation's youth, renowned psychiatrist sounds alarm. TDC invites Iyoko to probe procurement breaches, and in recent times that has been in the news, claims of some malfeasance. Ghana Bauxite Company targets 6 million tons of production this year. GTEC warns of abuse of honorary degrees. That's an interesting one I definitely have to get into. People using doctor, and EU intervenes to address perennial water crisis in Tamale and Damongo. And GIS foils cocoa smuggling attempt at Kauk-Jago border. So personnel of the Ghana Immigration Service have intercepted 25 bags of cocoa beans being smuggled into Togo through the Kauk-Jago border in the Bunkpurugud enclave in the northeast region. The bags of cocoa beans are believed to have been transported from southern Ghana to the north on a transit outside of Ghana as part of a syndicate that smuggles cocoa beans outside of Ghana to neighboring countries. So good job to the Ghana Immigration Service. EU intervenes to address perennial water crisis in Tamale and Damongo, and the EU has stepped in to support efforts to resolve the perennial water crisis facing residents of Tamale and its surrounding communities, as well as the Damongo township. This comes as a relief to thousands of households that have endured irregular water supply for years due to aging infrastructure and malfunctioning equipment at the Dalun and Damongo water treatment plants. So interesting development there. Now, a former chief psychiatrist, and gentlemen, you would know that I'm going very quickly on because I have quite a number of stories. I'll go through them quickly and then you can choose which ones to react to. A former chief psychiatrist, Professor J.B. Asari, has raised concern about the alarming abuse of opioids among the youth, saying that a failure to crack down on the influx of the substance can lead to many wasted lives in some years to come. He therefore stressed the need to step up surveillance at the country's borders in order to prevent the smuggling of the drugs into the country. Then let me go to pages 13 and 20, and I'll stay there before I go to international news. TDC invites Iyoko to probe procurement breaches, and management of the TDC Ghana Limited has written to the Economic and Organized Crime Office to investigate a number of alleged procurement breaches and financial malfeasance by the previous management. This includes a $1 million IT solution the company is said to have paid for, but which was never delivered. Which reminds me of some drones we've been talking about in recent times, which cannot be found as well. The managing director of TDC Company Limited, Courage Nunekbeku, disclosed this at his maiden engagement with the staff last Friday. So they are chasing those $1 million and where they went. I think IT, GTech warns of abuse of honorary degrees. That's the final story for now. The Ghana Tertiary Education Commission has deplored the abuse of honorary doctoral degrees and professorship titles conferred upon individuals by various institutions, both within Ghana and abroad. It said the appropriation of these honorary titles as part of the name of any recipient is deemed unethical and contravenes several provisions of the Education Regulatory Bodies Act 2020, that is Act 1023, as well as other pertinent laws governing higher education in Ghana. So that's it. At least we have two major academics and, of course, one other who has also got his PhD with us. What do you think about these stories? I'll start with you, Dr. Asah-Asante.
Yeah, I think I will start with the abuse of honorary degrees.
I suspected you would start from there.
Yes, because time and again we see these charlatans who are out there and want the world to know that they have attained academic degrees, even though it's honorary. There is a purpose for which you are giving that, and I'm happy the GTech is re-echoing the place of such a degree in the scheme of things of public life. So what we have to do is that to ensure that the law works, so that anybody who abuses it, who are called to order. Otherwise, they make nonsense of those who have really earned the academic degree. We don't know the difference, but there is a clear distinction as to the one which was earned and the one what on it with. So I think we have to be careful about that. I will urge those who want to really earn it that the university doors are open. They should come in, enroll, and go through the process and then earn it. If they want to, the honorary one, if you have that one is also good. But remember, it's an honorary title. Don't go beyond that.
All right.
Two, the issue of cocoa smuggling. I am worried because I have lived all my life in the village working under cocoa farms over the years. Now there are a lot of threats facing the cocoa industry. One is Galamsey, with all its attendant problems on the cocoa industry, and which other countries are threatening they are not ready to buy, and the rest of them. This poses a great danger to Ghana's economy, because remember, Ghana's mainstay has been cocoa. So it's a worrying situation. Some time passed, you remember, we had also difficulty about smuggling in the area of fertilizers that farmers were using and all that. But that one, now you don't hear the story, so you realize that the security people have stemmed the situation, and we are getting we are breathing a sigh of relief. I want the state to pay more attention to this, because cocoa, take it or leave it, is the foundation of this country. We cannot let it slide.
Right. And
that we should do everything to support it. Then I move on to abuse of drugs, which the famous psychiatric doctor is talking about. If you walk around some of our communities, you realize that people are doing their own thing in terms of drug abuse. I am happy that once in a while you see the police zeroing down on them and then arresting them. But people continue to abuse this. The danger is how they destroy, young, energetic people and create health problems for our society, which we need to look for money to deal with. We are not ready for such exercise. So we must step up our, intelligence on these things and get a solution to this problem once and for all. The issue of TDC and procurement breaches. It seems to me that President Kufuor has worked in vain. He did well under his regime to bring in a lot of procurement laws to stem the tide in that industry. But today, things have reached their zenith, and that everywhere you see procurement breaches and all that. It's worrying, and it dovetails into the whole governance architecture that we have in this country. Once you see a problem in that area and you rectify with a law, another way is found out of that. And then people always create opportunity to milk the state dry. But all of us must be vigilant and then make sure that we root out these people from our society. After all, vigilance is the price of what? Liberty.
All right. Gentlemen, I'm going to have to restrict you to less time, maybe a minute maximum. Dr. Mohammed.
Well, for me, I'll go back to Tamale, and after that, I'll come to the TDC case. I'm happy that Tamale is getting a relief when it comes to water crisis. I'm particularly so because the whole area is becoming unbecoming. People are queuing with gallons, etc., to look for water. And you know that water is very important. If you look at the Sustainable Development Goal 6 is about clean water and sanitation. If you don't have good water to drink, you can never have a sanitation at your doorsteps. So I do hope that this is bringing a very good relief, and the government must cooperate with them so that they can successfully do that in a matter of time. Well, about the TDC, I think that this is a very important matter. Anybody who steals the state resources must be made accountable. The person must vomit it. He has to bring it back. And the person must be prosecuted so that, and given the appropriate punishment. Elsewhere, when you do corruption or you steal, you are killed right out. And I believe that we have to begin to ensure that we put in punitive measures. When we are able to do so, we are going to keep down most of these problems that we are currently facing. Financial malfeasance must not be tolerated.
Right.
It has no place in our body politic, and we have to deal with it ruthlessly so that we can ensure that things work and work efficiently.
All right. Dr. Abedu, quick thoughts?
Yes, very well. I will dive straight into the cocoa smuggling issues. I've had the opportunity to weave around the Eastern corridors more importantly. I mean, most of the times from the south down to the north, from the Eastern corridor side. And I've observed a lot of this, I mean, the smuggling activities where cocoa bags are carried on motorcycles to the bordering Togo. It's really a troubling situation. It's a worrying situation. But really, we need to understand the underlying issues. Why will a cocoa farmer have to struggle a whole bag of cocoa at the back of a motorcycle, travel that distance to Togo, for example, to sell them? It's all about what they think they are getting from selling it from, I mean, in Togo compared to, for example, what they would get in the country. And so it's important we look at the underlying factors, what are the economic issues which are motivating their activities, and to see how we can at least break even to some extent to ensure that they are not motivated to embark on such illegal activities. I think the cocoa sector is really struggling nowadays because whilst we are talking about the smuggling, Galamsey, like Doc indicated, is also another big issue which is affecting the cocoa sector. And so if we don't take care, a time will come where the official records from Ghana, as far as our cocoa production is concerned, will be very, very minimal. And I think that the data is now showing where we know that for the past few years, I mean, cocoa production has reduced to about 50%. And indeed, it's not just about the production, it's about record in terms of our sales. So whilst Galamsey is causing or is attributed to one part of the story, the smuggling also leads to that. And so what eventually will happen is that our production, our export of cocoa from Ghana will become something minimal, and it will not make Ghana gain that competitive advantage in the cocoa sector as the international market is concerned. And I think that delves really also into the U.S. tariffs. I mean, the tariff that has been imposed by the U.S. And so if you are battling with all these situations, all these problems, and then we are also being slapped with another tariff imposition and all that, it tells you that we need to do a lot as far as the mainstay of our economy is concerned. I mean, the agriculture or the cocoa sector to be specific, to ensure that we are able to promote, I mean, that sector very well, and then we get the best out of it, because really that is what God has given us, and we have to maximize the opportunities that comes around that space.
Right.
Also going into the abuse of opioids in the country.
Dr. Abedu, you have to be very brief.
Sad.
Dr. Abedu, please be very brief on that.
Very well. We have about 70% of our population who are under 35 years pay the Ghana Statistical Service. And so if these young people are now, resorting to these drugs for whatever reason, it's very sad, and we need to have a holistic look at this. What role, our parents are playing? What role is social media playing? What are even the economic or the social factors which are leading to this? Is it just about unemployment, which is making them resort to all these for whatever reason? We need to really unearth these issues and address the youth holistically before the issue gets out of hand. They are the future of our country. And if, the future today are just messing up their lives, their health, what do we stand to gain moving forward? Our mental health institutions do not have the capacity to absorb this number of youth if they transcend into leading into mental health problems. And so we need to look at that very carefully before things get out of hand.
I'll not take reactions from these, but South Sudan is to accept a man deported from the U.S. As they move to defuse a visa row. Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that, and I guess threats everywhere. Algeria and Mali block flights from each other. Death of boxer must bring reforms. You remember the Nigerian boxer who passed recently. And China not backing down from Trump's tariff war. Zelensky confirms Ukraine troops in Russia's Belgorod region. If you want details of those stories, grab a copy of the Daily Graphic newspaper. Sweetie?
Yes, just the headlines because we have to go. The Daily Gist says Vice President to operate from Osu Castle. And the question on the minds of many Ghanaians, who replaces Chief Justice? Lobbying begins. The president is not even out of office yet. And the custodian says we don't use land guards. I think we tweeted this. It's the Accra Times. The story is on the headlines. Ghanaians salute Jakpa and team for arresting fugitive Nigerian businessman amid allegations of protection by former NPP government. Sam Piyale is gone forever. Speaker Bagben weeps. Ayariga is a real gentleman, Apenyo Markin admits, and show proof not propaganda. Mr. Benjamin Kofi Kwashi, that is the South Africa NDC chairman, saying to Reverend Intim Fojo. And the Ghanaian publisher has bauxite. Ghana bauxite pumps $123 million into expansion drive. Target 6 million tons of bauxite this year. And Zoomlion refutes land guard claims on suspicious flight saga, minority petitions, diplomatic call. These are the stories. And we have Oman Hene, our WIN registrar, charged with stealing. Grab a copy of these papers and get into it. 30 seconds each for your final thoughts. I'll start with you, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante, and I'm timing you. Let's go.
Yes, I'll touch on the bauxite and all the minerals that we have in this. If you have all these things, we cannot add value. We cannot develop them for the benefit of our society. Then what's the use? This reminds me of something I learned as an undergraduate student, where Ali Mazrui said that Africa is the richest, yet the poorest. We have all the resources, and yet we are poor. Yeah. Think about it, make our country better.
All right, Dr. Mohammed.
Well, we have to make our country better. If we have to do so, we need to be reasonable, and we need to obey the laws and ensure that things work and work efficiently.
So be reasonable, obey the laws. And Dr. Abedu, you have the final word.
Mining communities need to benefit from all these resources that we are talking about. The target that we are setting for ourselves and all that. To what extent does it go down to benefit the ordinary person who lives in these communities where the resources are endowed? And so we need to just look at how these production trickle down to communities for them to also enjoy the benefit. Thank you. Ben?
Well, I'll just wrap with the news center. Some stories we've done already. CEO for a day. I felt this was a heartwarming story. Selena Bawa, CEO of the day at MTN Ghana. I followed it on social media, and you would find her with pictures with Stephen Blewett, the MTN CEO. I felt that was heartwarming. The story of the 3 journalists arrested in first quarter of Mahama presidency, I've shared my thoughts on that. Suspicious flights, minority petitions, diplomatic community, I've shared my thoughts on that. And the final story, no more jobs for retirees. Mahama suspends post-retirement contracts in public service. Get the details from the News Center newspaper. And if you read the details, you know what exactly should be happening or is happening per the law. Those who joined the conversation this morning, Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political scientist, head of the Center for European Studies, Dr. Jabir Mohammed, senior lecturer at the University of Ghana Business School, and Dr. Clement Abedu, executive director, African Center for Environment and Sustainability. All of them joined the conversation. Sports is up next. You want to stay?